A blessed and wonderful afternoon, everyone. Today is Monday, March 22, 2021. Hashtag Team LRC is back for a new set of learning sessions through our webinar series entitled G ka pa ba mag-online learning? A webinar series on how to take online learning to the next level. Ayan, magandang hapon sa mga nakatutok na ngayon sa ating Facebook Live. Let us know kung saan po kayo nanonood ngayon. Please comment down below. Shout out din po sa lahat ng ating participants, sa ating mga scholars para sa bayan, mga kapwa kawani na reps, faculty, admin, and staff, at maging sa mga alumni po natin ng ating universidad mula sa UP Los Baños at iba't ibang UP campuses. Siyempre, may mga tagapanood din po tayo mula sa mga schools at organizations sa buong Pilipinas, mula po sa Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao. Good afternoon din po sa ating mga guro at mga kawani mula sa DepEd at CHED. At sa mga taga-Immaculate Conception College, Balayan, Batangas. Talaga naman po mukhang full force ang mga taga-ICC Balayan sa pag-attend ng ating webinars. Ano? Uy, balita ko po, masarap ang bagoong Balayan dyan. Ang sabi po ng hashtag Team LRC, baka naman. Alright, so kung wala pa po dito ang inyong mga friendships, classmates, and colleagues, itag na po natin sila dito sa ating FB Live. I-share nyo rin po itong ating video para sama-sama po tayong matuto mula sa napakagandang topic na naman po sa hapong ito. As of this afternoon po, we already have a total of 3,447 registered participants. I hope on board na po tayong lahat. Time check is 2:03 in the afternoon. Welcome to G ka pa ba mag-online learning? A webinar series on how to take online learning to the next level. For this webinar series, we have two themes po, not just one, but two themes. We have 3 sessions for the theme Prepping Up for Success and 3 other sessions on leveling up your design skills. Today po is the first session on Prepping Up for Success entitled Speak Up, How to Overcome the Fear of Public Speaking. I am Cheryl Hermosa Ebron, University Extension Associate and Training Coordinator of UPLB Learning Resource Center, and yours truly po will be our webinar's moderator. Now, just a few friendly reminders for our webinar. First, at all times, please keep your comments helpful and considerate to the speaker, moderator, and to your fellow participants. Second, if you have questions, feel free to write them down below our comment section and make sure those questions are relevant to our topic this afternoon. And lastly, and most importantly, please do not forget to answer the evaluation form after the webinar. Our team will deeply appreciate your comments and your suggestions. And please also be reminded that the deadline of submission of responses will be only until 7 p.m. today. For those who will not be able to join us because you have equally important matters to attend to, don't worry po, you can watch the replay of our session on our Facebook page. We have close to 64,000 strong followers na po, so your continuous and overwhelming support po is our inspiration to keep moving forward. So thank you so much po from the bottom of our hearts. Likewise po, you can also watch the recorded session on our YouTube channel. Just search for UPLB Learning Resource Center on YouTube. As of now, we have a total of 1,470 subscribers. So please continue to like, share, and subscribe. Also, click din po yung notification bell to keep you updated with our videos. Also, kindly use our official hashtag for this webinar series, which is hashtag GKPB or GKPB online learning. Yan po ay para mabilis po nating makita ang lahat ng videos and materials sa ating webinar series using that hashtag. Eto na ang tanong. G ka pa ba? G na bang i-level up ang ating online experience? Yes, G na G pa rin tayong lahat. Now, to give her opening remarks, may we kindly recognize in the Zoom space our director, the director of UPLB Learning Resource Center, and the ever-gorgeous Dr. Benjamina Paula G. Flor. Ma'am Benj, good afternoon po.
Hello guys, good afternoon everyone. Welcome to the first series of G ka pa ba mag-online learning. So G pa ba kayo? Mag-online learning or gawin ang mga dapat gawin kahit na tayo ay may pandemya? So we are very happy to welcome everyone. No? So a pleasant good afternoon to everyone. So it has been 1 month since the second semester started. And by now, many of you are graduating, I suppose. You will soon be preparing for work. And one of the things or skills that you may need to be good at during this 21st century is a skill on public speaking. I know many of us have stage fright or Zoom fright, perhaps. However, we have to learn to adapt given our situation. Public speaking as a communication strategy is an important skill for many of us, especially salesperson, reporter, teacher, scientist, or even a preacher. And according to UNESCO, not being able to speak in public is a disability, just like not being able to read, write, or arithmetic, alongside computer literacy. So we are very happy that you are here to master public speaking. Tanggalin ang mga daga o daga sa dibdib because it is only through communication can we make our objectives known. Ako personally, I have a secret. So whenever time I do a speech in public, I put a coin, 1 peso coin, inside my shoes. Nakaka-reduce daw ng nervousness. Effective siya, try nyo. But today, sit back, relax, and listen to what our speaker, Mr. Linus Van Plata, to share his talent and skill in speaking in public.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Bench. Ayan. Thank you so much for your wonderful words, ma'am. Talagang kailangan nating matuto na maging fearless whenever we are speaking. Now, moving forward, let's have a short energizer. If you have already attended our webinars previously, you know the drill, you know what to do. Sa mga ngayon pa lamang po nasusubukan or masusubukan ang activity na ito, madali lamang po. First, open a new browser or a new window and then go to www.menti.com. Second po is use our key code. You can see that on your screen, which is 4171-3283. Let me also post the link on our comment section para po makapunta po kayo agad directly doon sa site, ano po. And then, dahil nga level up ang usapan, ano, medyo nag-level up din po ng kaunti ang LRC. So to go directly to the activity, kindly scan the QR code on your screen. Itatapat lamang po yung camera dun, ng inyong smartphone doon sa QR code. And then immediately, you can click the link and then makakapunta na po kayo agad sa ating Mentimeter. Now, let me just share my screen so we could all see the real-time results po ng ating menti.com. Okay, let me just share my screen. All right, so our question is, aling health protocol ang nakasanayan mo na? Sige nga, tingnan natin kung alin ang health protocol na nakasanayan mo na since last year, March 2020 na nag-lockdown tayo. First ay paghuhugas ng kamay. Second is pagsusuot ng face mask. Third is physical distancing. Huwag daw social distancing, physical lang. Because we are socially connected kahit na magkakalayo po tayo. And then fourth ay paglilinis ng mga kasangkapan. And fifth, lahat. Ayan, so far, I'm seeing here on my screen, or we are seeing on the screen, 113 so far, lahat. Yung nakasanayan na, yung paghuhugas ng kamay, pagsusuot ng face mask, of course, physical distancing, at paglilinis ng kasangkapan, lalo na pag nag-groceries, kami po sa bahay, ang practice is hindi pwedeng ipasok lahat ng pinamili galing sa labas. You have to sanitize all of them, lahat ng groceries namin, ay kailangan masanitize bago siya ipasok sa loob ng bahay. For protection yon. Okay? At dahil nga po ang aming lugar, ang Laguna, ay isa sa mga idineklarang ibalik sa GCQ, ano po, o General Community Quarantine kasama ang NCR, Bulacan, Cavite at Rizal, mulit-muli po nating paalalahanan ng bawat isa na maging maingat at gawin yung mga simpleng health protocols na ito na talagang nakasanayan na natin ang mga ito, di po ba? So, sabi nga po, we all deserve to be healthy and safe. At yan po ay magsisimula sa atin, sa ating mga sarili. Again, thank you so much guys for participating sa ating Menti meter. Ayan, so far merong 254, 257. Meron pa bang sasagot? Sige, tingnan natin kung abot siya ng 300. Baka ngayon pa lang sumasagot, ano? Yung paghuhugas ng kamay, yan po talagang hindi na pwedeng mawala. Para bang kahit nakapikit ka, alam mo na kailangan mo lagi po ako may dalang maliit na alcohol pag ako'y lalabas at pag nakahawak ako saan, automatic nag-spray kaagad sa kamay or pagpasok ng bahay, talagang hindi pwedeng hindi ka maliligo. Iwan na lahat ng clothes sa labas, ligo muna, kasama na yung paghuhugas ng kamay doon just for us to be safe. At sama-sama nating idaos or makakalampas din po tayo sa lahat ng ito. Sabi nga po, di ba, dun sa lahat, this too shall pass. Kapit lamang po tayo. Alright. Thank you sa 319 and still coming, no? Yung mga responses natin. Thank you for your overwhelming responses. Pwede pa rin po kayong magsagot dyan. Hindi po natin tatanggalin yan. Okay? Thank you for answering and participating in our Mentimeter for this afternoon. Now let us go to the main part of our session. Excited na ba? Allow me to introduce to you our speaker this afternoon. He is an assistant professor at the Department of Humanities, College of Arts and Sciences here in UP Los Baños. And he teaches subjects in critical perspectives and communication and workplace communication. He is a graduate of BS Development Communication here in UPLB, magna cum laude, and valedictorian with a general weighted average of 1.30. At the same time, he is a recipient of the 2012 UPLB Outstanding Student Leader Award and a Nora C. Cabral Medal for Scholarship in Development Communication. In August 2020, just last year, he finished his Master of Arts in Communication Arts, also in UPLB. He was likewise a 2020 recipient of the UPLB Academic Excellence Award, valedictorian, with a general weighted average of 1.025 and a grade of 1 for all the 15 units of major courses. Previously, he worked as University Research Associate at UPLB Digital Laguna Research Program, English teacher at Philippine Science High School main campus, policy consultant, policy research officer, and communication and development officer. Our speaker for this afternoon has been navigating his career and his life on the whole with the aid of two attributes: an intellect that both recognizes the crucial details and sees the bigger picture, and a passion to make a difference in the elusive project of social change. His commitment to public service after a stellar academic performance at the University of the Philippines as magna cum laude and class valedictorian is manifested in his varied professional career in government service and teaching. His expertise in communication, coupled with his burgeoning philosophical thinking, gives him the edge to make a unique and innovative contribution to the academe and the larger society. To share with us how to overcome our fear in public speaking and how to rise above it, please welcome in the Zoom space Professor Linus Van Plata. Sir Linus, over to you.
Hello, Ma'am Cheryl. Good afternoon to you, to the wonderful team of the UPLB Learning Resource Center, UPLB LRC, headed by Dr. Benjamina Paula Flor, the director, and of course, to our audience. I've heard that we've reached around 1,000 viewers right now, so a little intimidated, but we're gonna overcome it because you know what they say, we practice what we preach.
Yes, Sir Linus. How are you so far, Sir Linus?
Well, I'm pretty good. Isn't it hot these past few days? I mean, it's crazy. I'm just pretending that I'm fine in my blazer, but we've got to look presentable. As they say, tea is pogi.
It is. It is really hot. Ano, talagang summer na po, Sir Linus. So, at dahil hot nga, hot yung topic natin, which
Yeah.
is public speaking.
Oh, it's a hot topic. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, our students, in our needs analysis survey, ito yung pinakamadami next to research. Gusto nila lang matuto ng public speaking or ma-overcome yung fear nila sa public speaking. So, thank you so much
Okay.
for saying yes to us.
Oh yeah. Thanks for the invite. Really, I'm honored and humbled.
All right, Sir Linus, you may take it away.
All right. Thank you, Mom Cheryl. Thank you again, um, Team LRC, and to those of you who made time to show up. Later, we'll be talking about the courage of showing up and the fact that you took some of your precious time to actually watch for around an hour a lecture, more of a motivational speech on public speaking, means that you've already taken the first step. You've already displayed some courage that you want to do something about the nerves, the butterflies in the stomach. I thank you because I discovered the great team of LRC told me that our audience and those who registered come from different places across the country and who knows, maybe beyond these islands. And so I am happy and a little overwhelmed, honestly, by your presence and by your precious time. So maraming salamat. I'm here to talk about overcoming the fear of public speaking. At the end of this motivational talk, we will revise that phrase, overcoming the fear of public speaking. Is it really possible to overcome that fear? You feel the nerves once you step on stage, you hold the microphone and facing hundreds of your students or facing elderly people or whatever audience you have. And isn't it the case that that fear doesn't actually go away? Is that fear something that we can really get rid of? Or is it something we just need to live with? And so these are the exciting questions that we, hand in hand, in the next 60 minutes, will be able to answer together. And so let's get on with our lecture. I prepared some slides just so to help with the visuals. And well, I'm titling it as follows. Who is afraid of public speaking? Is there any fearless person? Well, I'm going to give you some spoiler. Do you know the writer of the best-selling memoir, Eat, Pray, Love, Elizabeth Gilbert? They turned it into a Hollywood movie starring Julia Roberts. So if you've seen it, fine. If you haven't, try it out. It's really great. And Elizabeth Gilbert said, this fear that we have, it is like a companion for a lifetime. So how are you going to deal with someone who's stuck with you for the rest of your life when in fact, in the course of your life, you would really have to speak before audiences? So let's talk about how to deal with that, with those tricky moments. So once again, I'm Linus. You can call me Linus. And as noted earlier, I'm an assistant professor of the UPLB Department of Humanities. I want to make clear our objectives for this webinar. First, I just want to encourage you. I'll be cheering you on. I'm going to tell you in realistic terms that it is possible to improve the way you speak in public. It is possible. And I know I can hear some heads there, but you know, Sir Linus, you don't know me. I actually suck at it. I'm not good at it. I have been humiliated. I felt embarrassed. At one time when I spoke, I delivered this speech and my classmates were laughing at me because I was making these grammatical errors. But guess what? I've been there. I have experienced it. I have experienced getting bullied back in high school for committing a lot of grammatical errors in English and for mispronouncing a lot of words. So when I was in second year high school and my English professor asked me to stand up and read a poem, I really stumbled on some of the words there, including the word TOMB or tomb. At that time, I was saying it tomb, and my classmates who came from private schools couldn't help but snicker and laugh behind their notebooks and books. But you know what I did? I kept going. A part of me, yes, it was embarrassing, but I kept going and I told myself, okay, sure, I have a long way to go, but I'm gonna work on it because I want to improve so bad. And so one of the principles of overcoming your fear in public speaking is the ability to ask yourself the question, do I really want to improve? Can I commit myself to enhancing the way I speak before the public? So the principle is check your heart, because if the desire, if the intention is not there, then it is going to be difficult to commit to a lifelong process of improving the way you speak. It is a lifelong commitment, as I will show you in the later slides. So the first objective is to really just encourage you that you can do it. That if someone who could barely speak English at the beginning of his high school, at UP Rural High School, could barely speak the language, and a decade onwards, he could say something, is fluent. If that's the journey I took, and if that journey, based on my life, makes it possible, then it should be possible for you. Why can't it be? The second learning objective is I'm going to share with you some techniques, strategies, even secrets that you are yet to know, that you don't know yet, about how to muster the confidence in public speaking. So these are the two objectives. I'm going to encourage you and I'm going to equip you. And I hope at the end of this short webinar, you'll be slightly more encouraged at least and equipped with some skills and tips that I'll be sharing with you in the next couple of minutes. Let's begin with one of the greatest American stand-up comics of all time, Jerry Seinfeld. He said, according to most studies, people's number one fear is public speaking. Number two is death. Does that seem right? That means to the average person, if you have to go to a funeral, you're better off in the casket than doing the eulogy. Since the 1970s, there's been this rumor that people prefer actually dying than getting up in front and talking to a lot of people. But is that really the case? So there's this recent article, pretty recent, 2012, which tried to validate the public opinion on public speaking. Is it really more feared than dead? Do people really prefer dying to public speaking? And you know what? The answer is yes. Up to this point, people believe that people are more terrified with public speaking than other phobias like dying. Okay, some trivia. I hope you can write, since to those who are tuned in to our stream, to our live stream, if you can identify without Googling, okay, without looking it up on the internet, what is that technical fancy term for the fear of public speaking? It's just one word, okay? So the clue is if it's fear, then it's got to have the word phobia as a suffix, then what should be the prefix? So I'd like to encourage you, just, some sort of something fun. What do you call the fear of public speaking? It's one word and it starts with letter G, like G ka pa rin bang mag-online learning? And speaking of, the overall intention of this webinar series, I understand that the specific context for our webinar series by the great LRC team is how a student or a teacher can better navigate himself, herself, themselves online, right? In the context of online learning. But since we have a wonderful audience here, very diverse, coming from different backgrounds. In fact, we even have our wonderful elderly people tuning in to our program. Then I decided to actually expand the coverage of my lecture a bit and really include general principles on public speaking. Because this pandemic, it's not going to go on forever. At some point in the future, we will return to, well, new normal, but at that moment, we will have to deal with each other face to face. And there will come a time for sure that you will step on that stage, stand beside or in front of a podium, a lectern, hold that microphone, and open your mouth for the first words of your speech. That will surely happen. So I am preparing you not just for the short term, but in fact for the long one. The answer as to why we have this fear of public speaking goes all the way to our earliest ancestors. That is, if you use the perspective of evolutionary biology, evolutionary psychology. So, what happened back then when our species began on savanna Africa around 200 to 300,000 years ago, and they started forming groups? Why did they form groups? Because they could not survive without other people guarding during their shift against big predators like mammoths. And so it was crucial back then that our species had to operate within groups. Now, here's the problem. If a member of that social group, of that tribe, if that member gets cast out, becomes an outcast, okay, for some reason, then that member, that member's life would be put at risk because he or she is alone and he has nobody with him or her to actually protect himself and survive. He needed someone, but because he's been rejected from the tribe, then there was a high chance that he or she's gonna die and be eaten by big predators. And so the threat of rejection from a social group in our earliest history as Homo sapiens, that fear, that threat of rejection, it stayed with us to the present day. So to illustrate, before, if you get rejected from your tribe, then you are more likely to die. Now, you speak before an audience, and in your brain, by the way, the human brain in this year, 2022, is not much different from the brain hundreds of thousands of years ago. It's the same brain. Because it is the same brain, you speaking in front can really get terrified because the fear, the threat of rejection, which was handed to you, which you inherited from your earliest ancestor, that threat of rejection stays. And why is it terrifying? Because of the fear of death. And that's why many people believe that they're more terrified of public speaking than of dying. I know it is irrational. I know it's crazy. And how can you die after giving a speech? But that's how the brain works, according to evolutionary psychologists, evolutionary biologists. We know the rejection from the audience isn't real. Once you give your closing statement in your speech and you step off the stage, it's not like somebody's going to shoot you in the head. I mean, that's not likely. That can happen, but not likely. So the rejection and the death, these are illusions. Because here's a basic truth about psychology that I want you guys to take away with. This brain, which has not changed, even if it is complex and it is wonderful and it performs, amazing functions, critical thinking, cooperation, despite its sophistication, it cannot tell apart which threats are going to get you killed and which threats are fine. They're not going to get you killed because the brain cannot distinguish these threats. Then when you speak in front of the public, when your professor asks you to turn on your camera on Zoom so that you could answer his or her question, the brain signals to you that, OMG, I'm scared, I'm threatened, I need to answer, I might be judged. And if I'm judged, what if the judgment from my classmates, from my teacher is negative? And subconsciously, you might think that that bad judgment might mean rejection. And as crazy as it sounds, might mean death. We know it's irrational, it's illogical, but that's how our sophisticated yet imperfect brain does to us to this day. So this sounds like a lecture, a little lecture in psychology, but I just want you, everybody, to realize that the fear of public speaking is normal. It happens. Just because you feel the nerves doesn't mean you are an incompetent public speaker. Everybody gets the nerves. In fact, last night, as I posted, because I posted the advertisement for this webinar on my Facebook page, then my former bosses back in the army, my old professors, they were telling me that they're gonna watch this, webinar, and if you guys showed up, then shout out to you. And the fact that these people, including my cousins, because they're watching right now, the fact that these people whom I know are watching me deliver this kind of speech to everybody, it is, and I'm saying this for real, it's terrifying because you know that you are exposing yourself to the audience. That's the other reason why people are scared of public speaking, because you are exposing yourself. And if you're exposing yourself, then you're also you're also running the risk. You're also taking the risk of judgment. But as you will find out later, when I get to the strategies part, you really need only by exposing yourself, only by getting vulnerable, can you really become creative. Can you really establish connection to your audience, to other people? And now we're on to my top 20 strategies of public speaking. Let's get on with the first one. Okay, number 20. This, by the way, before I get to this slide, here's an assortment of, practical and practical tips like this one, number 20, and psychological ones. So it will be a mixed bag of various strategies and tips and procedures. Look into the forehead. Okay, if you are intimidated, okay, please imagine this with me. You're facing your audience and you think they're going to judge you. But one trick is, instead of looking into their eyes, look into their foreheads, their noo. And because there's some distance between you and your audience, they're going to think that you're looking into their eyes anyway. So there's that optical illusion. So by looking into their forehead, you're not intimidated, you're not overwhelmed by the fact that they're looking at you and that they might judge you. So that's a good trick. But if you can, Because at the end of the day, everyone, public speaking is, while it is a social act, it is still an intimate act because you're talking to your audience. I still encourage you to look into their eyes, but here's a difference. You know, people, when they speak in front of a crowd, their eyes are wandering away, right? They go from one head to another, but eye contact must be strategic. So here's what I mean by that. You look into the eyes of person A, okay? Look into her eyes and give your first thought or first sentence. Once you shift to another idea, it's time to look at another audience, into his eyes. So, what do I mean by that? If you do that, it looks like you are talking from one person, the speaker, to just another person, to one other person, the audience. So it's like interpersonal communication. It's not like you're talking in front of a huge crowd. So that's the trick. So look into the eyes of one person, establish eye contact with one person per idea so that it doesn't feel like you're bearing the responsibility of talking to a huge number of people, but you're just talking to one person as if you're talking to a friend. So that's one trick. Look at the audience individually as if you're talking to one person. And if you tell your brain, I'm just talking to one person, I'm just talking to one person, it's just that I'm just talking to one person at a time, then the brain tells you, okay, nothing to be nervous anyway. So it's because it's just one person. Tip number 19. Fear is good. It has protected you, but it doesn't have to apply to public speaking. You will notice that my strategies are interconnected. You will see some overlaps for sure. So, fear is good because it was there when you were crossing the road, but then again, in your peripheral vision, you saw this blue car coming. I mean, quite fast because it beat the red light, and because of the fear of that primal emotion that we inherited from our ancestor, instead of furthering yourself on the road, you would take a step back and go back to the curb. You have been saved by your fear. Fear protects. When you date someone and you feel like this other person doesn't feel right, something feels wrong about this person. I'm not talking about being judgmental. I'm talking about that instinct that we have. I'm not talking about instinct in mystical terms. We really have the instinct because that is something that has been developed through time in human history. Your instinct is reliable. Your fear is, well, not totally reliable, but reliable in the moments that you could really die, right? But just because you feel the fear doesn't mean it has to cover all circumstances, like public speaking. So here's what you need to tell your brain. Whenever you feel the nerves, whenever you have to recite in your Zoom class, whenever you teach in your Zoom class, when we get to see each other face to face again, when you give your opening remarks, or when you introduce the guest speaker, or when you host a debut party, and you seem to cannot appear on stage because you're just overwhelmed with the butterflies in your stomach, then you can tell yourself this. You can tell your brain the following. Hey, fear, thank you. I'm grateful. You've saved my life many times. But what you're making me feel right now, not applicable. So fear, You've been my friend, but I don't need you. Get out of the room. Because I may feel you, but I don't need you at this moment. Because the fact that I feel you means that you're telling me that I might die from this, but I have nothing to fear because I'll just get out there and open my mouth and let some words come out of it. And at the end of the day, I leave my house in one shape. I'm fine. So, hey, fear, I know that you're doing this to me because this is what the human what the human mind, what the human brain does. Because it once protected my earliest ancestors back in Savannah, Africa. But I just don't need you at the moment. So step on that stage, hold that microphone, and own that moment. But Sir Linus, I still can feel the nerves as I'm giving my opening spiel. Just keep feeling it. And guess what? If you just go on and on, and if you just keep doing and doing the speaking thing, then you will eventually find yourself relaxed and, in fact, having fun. Which brings me to another tip that I didn't identify here in the slides. Have fun while doing it. But Sir Linus, how can I have fun when I am terrified? Well, that's why we have these strategies to deal with your fright, with your fear. But it is my wish to all of you, more than 1,000 people in the audience who are listening, who are tuning into us right now. It is my wish that once you overcome your fears in public speaking, once you get better, because I believe you can do better. You really can do better. If it happened to me, then it can happen to you. Once you overcome that fear and you keep practicing and practicing and practicing, you keep doing and doing and doing public speaking, then it is my wish that you'll have some fun. You'll get to have some fun. And you'll get to find that joy of speaking in front of a crowd because you are there with a purpose. So fear, I learned this from an Oprah interview, false events appearing real. Try to memorize that. Well, I don't think it's very difficult to memorize. Fear is false events appearing real. They seem to be out there, but they're just an illusion. They're just false events appearing real. Number 18, really, preparation is key. Once you keep preparing and rehearsing your speech or your report for your Zoom meeting, your teacher asks you to report about Albert Einstein, and you have a week to prepare. Well, you have that window of time to do your research, to write down notes, make an outline perhaps to help you. And then once you turn on your camera on Zoom and you face your classmates and your teacher, you must have more confidence, because if you keep rehearsing your piece, your speech, or whatever, you will become desensitized. What do we mean by that? You'll get used to it because you've done it before, because you've rehearsed, because you have practiced anyway. You just need to, it no longer feels new, right? It no longer feels intimidating because I have done this before. And that's why I have more confidence now to speak. So nothing beats preparation. In fact, the great American writer Mark Twain says, usually it takes me more than 3 weeks to prepare a good impromptu speech. So no impromptu speech is actually impromptu. It's impossible that you started spewing these words with confidence. It's just an illusion. The thing is, you already have something in your head. You're just getting them out. Number 17, deep breathing. It works because by deep breathing, you send more oxygen into your brain. And because of that, you get more relaxed. So let's have this a little workshop webinar moment together, let's take a deep breath. And the correct way to take a breath deeply is that you inhale with your nose. So, but once you inhale with your nose, you don't bring the air into your lungs, into your chest, you bring it to your diaphragm, okay? Which is the lower part of the stomach, okay? So the evidence, if you're doing it right, is if you inhale, your tummy gets bigger, okay? Because that's where pretty much, roughly, that's where the diaphragm is. So let's do deep breathing. Let's inhale together with the nose and into the diaphragm. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, do you feel the chest getting big? All right. Okay, you can just exhale, exhale. Now, how do you exhale? You exhale with your mouth. Okay, so you inhale. Let's do the inhaling again. Exhale with the mouth. Take some time breathing out. Okay, inhale again. Exhale. Very good. Okay, I want you to keep doing that minutes before you give your speech, okay, or you speak in public. Now, let's modify that a bit by making some sounds, okay? So what I'm gonna teach you is inhale, deep breathing, okay? Inhale with your nose and then make the chest big, okay? Inhale into your diaphragm. And then do this. Tap, 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 tap. T-A, okay? You do that. Again. Okay. The other thing is, before you speak, okay, here's what I learned from, okay, nothing much to do with gaining confidence in public speaking, but actually it's a technique to make your voice better. So back, because I'm a community broadcasting major at UP Los Baños, and henceforth in that great college of development communication, I was trained to develop what they call is the optimum pitch or the optimum voice, okay? So that's your broadcasting voice, and I want you to try it too. So it's a little tricky, okay? Just because if you don't get it right, that's fine, okay? Just keep practicing it with yourself, and I hope you get it right soon. But do we not speak in a casual conversation with our throat, right? So I'm gonna speak right now with my throat, okay? Because I've been speaking with my optimum pitch since the beginning of this lecture. Hello, kumusta kayo? Kumusta kayo? Alam niyo ba, di ba napakainit itong mga nakaraang araw, although umulan kanina, pero grabe, sobra. So, have you noticed that the voice became thinner, so to speak, and a little hoarse, H-O-A-R-S-E? That's, speaking with your throat is bad because because you're only using this, okay? Because you could strain your voice, okay? You could hurt it. Instead of speaking with your throat, I want you to speak with your diaphragm, with your whole chest, okay? So instead of saying hi, you try to get some power and air from your lungs, from your chest. And instead of saying hi, 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 okay. Sige, let me clarify. The other thing that you need to do is the following. If this is your your ordinary pitch, okay? Hello, 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 hello. Kumusta kayo? Kumusta kayo? Kumusta kayo? The trick about getting to your optimum pitch is you get a notch or one level lower. Okay, you get one level lower. So let me demonstrate it to you guys. Hello, 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 hello. Kumusta kayo? Kumusta kayo? Alam mo, kinakabahan akong mag-speech eh. Alam mo, kinakabahan. Alam mo, 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 alam mo. So did you see the stepping down of the pitch, right? Okay, so that's how you're going to do it. Okay. Now, let's do it together, okay? Hello, 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 throat. Hello, 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 hello. Okay, let's say hello together. I'm going to make compass, okay? I'm going to gesture. This is your throat speech, and then at some point, I'm gonna do this, and then you go one level lower, okay? Sige, all right. So let's say hello together. And then once I do this, we'll do hello, okay? One level lower. Use the throat. 1, 2, 3, go. Hello, 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 hello. And this is now how I'm speaking. I'm speaking with my optimum pitch. So do not, if you didn't get it right, as I said earlier, that's fine. But the thing is, just keep rehearsing it, keep practicing it with yourself or with your friends, and just make sure that you get one notch lower from your throat voice. Okay, so that is number 17. Number 16, and I would like to acknowledge the presence of the director of this webinar, Professor Mark Lester Chico. So he's also my mentor, and my thesis advisor, and the director of this webinar series. And often his criticism of me lately is this number 16. The problem is I pay too much attention to how I look. And while I need to practice what I preach right now, the problem is if you get too conscious about how you look, then it is going to be difficult for you to get your message across. So right now, because this is one of my weaknesses, following my own tip, number 16, what I do is that I'm now looking into, I don't see I don't see myself on the Zoom thumbnail. What I'm looking into right now is this little light on my camera, on my laptop camera. And so I'm fine because I'm just looking into the camera, okay? So try not to get too conscious of your look. Number 15. All right. One of the reasons why, one of the sins, okay, we commit when we speak before the audience is that sometimes we judge them. And the judgment is inaccurate. It's wrong. Sometimes we feel like, oh God, I'm not facing the crowd. They're now looking at me, waiting for me to say the first word. Are they going to judge me? Are they going to judge the print of my shirt? Are they going to make fun of my chubby cheeks? Are they going to mock my hairstyle? Okay, but you know what? The truth is, if you make mistakes, they're gonna forgive you. In fact, they may not notice it. Okay, let me share with you my experience with my students last Friday, because I met them last Friday. I'm teaching communication courses, and I had all of them report to me, okay, because the course I handle is one of the courses I teach is workplace communication. And I ask them, what kind of workplace do they want to work at when they turn 30, when they become 30 years old? Okay, so each would turn on his or her cam on and reports. And some of my students say, sir, I'm really terrified. I can't do this. And you know, one of my students was gasping for air as he was reporting. Sir, my envisioned workplace is the, okay, so he was doing that, but you know what I told him? You have no reason to be scared, because if you listen to what he just said, your sentences are fantastic. You are eloquent. You know your grammar. You could speak English fluently. So this notion that you are terrified, that you're scared, that there's something to be scared about, that is false. And I have many students, and these are UP students, by the way, guys. These are UP students, and you would feel some nerves from the tone of their recitation, but I would tell them after they recite, you know what? There's no reason why you should be scared because you are already good. And you know what happens every time I tell them that? Their eyes would light up and they realize, sir, you're right. Why should I fear? What is there to fear when I am okay? You are okay. And by the way, some of you might be saying right now, but sir Linus, I'm not good at English. I'm not fluent. I commit grammatical errors. Guess what? That's fine. You're going to make mistakes. I still make mistakes. Everybody does. And so, okay, well, that will be touched on. My response to that is in one of my next tips. So we'll get to that. But here's a spoiler. Allow yourself some mistakes. Allow yourself some margin of error. And I know that when you get home, all you would remember is that little subject verb agreement error that you made. But you know what? The audience is not gonna, for all you know, the audience didn't even notice. Here's another thing, okay? Some of my students, sir, I'm nervous. So they started speaking, and then in the middle they would say, sir, I'm nervous. And you know what? What I would tell them, what I told them. You know what? I did not know that you were really nervous. It's only when you admitted. So here's another principle. You think the audience knows and notices, but they don't notice what you notice. So if they don't notice what you notice, then what's the point of noticing? We get too conscious of everything, right? Even that little grammatical error, the wrong use of preposition, that 3-second pause between your third and fourth sentences. But the audience is not gonna notice anyway. All right. Number 14. This is related to the idea that you should not be conscious of yourself. Okay. Bad idea. Totally bad idea. One of the greatest Hollywood actresses, well, she's not American, but she's a Hollywood actress of all time, Helen Mirren. Okay, she's a Shakespearean theater actress, and then she's an Oscar-winning actress of the movie The Queen. She said it's a terrible mistake to practice yourself, to see yourself acting or speaking in the mirror. Why? Because instead of focusing on your delivery and your message, you get distracted by the gestures on your face. Okay, so that's not advisable. Although sometimes there are bad mannerisms that you will only notice when you face the mirror, sure, but at the end of the day, try not to do it. Try not to do it. Number 13, if you forget, it's okay to pause. So okay, this happens to me up to this point. Okay, I sometimes blank out and because I'm aging. And that's normal. If you forget the next thing you're gonna say, then it's okay to pause. Just here's a trick. Make it look like it was intentional. Okay, make it look like the pause was intentional. All right, and then at the back of your head, try to grope for the next idea that you want to say. So it's okay to take a pause and think of the next thing you're gonna say. One of my mentors, Boy Abunda, because I attended the last Boy Abunda talk workshop. Was it 2 years ago? They didn't do it last year because of the pandemic. And he has this exercise in which he would throw a word at me. Okay, so for example, Zoom. And then he would snap, and I need to say the next word that I have not really thought much about, but it's the next word that suddenly comes to mind. Tito Boy kept saying, Linus, don't think about the next word. Just say the word that comes to your mind right away. Okay. And then, so you say, Zoom, gloom, umbrella, perfume, smelly. Okay. So if you keep doing that exercise on your own, then you're going to improve your power of association. So that will give you the confidence to actually connect one word or idea to another. It will be very helpful when you do your spontaneous or impromptu speaking. So you do your it's a very simple exercise. Do your association exercise. So that's from Tito Boy. Number 12, don't take yourself too seriously. You can laugh at yourself. I understand, sir, how can I take myself seriously if this is a terrifying thing, public speaking? Okay, I hear you, but just give yourself a chance to adopt these strategies that I'm sharing with you. And you know what? At some point, I hope you can tell yourself, I've been hard on myself. So if I make this grammatical error in the middle of my speech, I'm just gonna laugh along with the audience. I'm just gonna I'm just gonna make fun of it also. So, and as a result, it actually, and those moments of vulnerability, those moments when you admit your own mistake and you laugh it off and the audience laughs with you, that's actually going to make your speeches, your public speaking better. Okay. So here's another principle, no? Because I have so much things to say, and I know I have 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. Okay, left. Whatever you prepared for, do not completely get stuck with what you have prepared for, that speech, that written speech that you memorized. In the moment, I hope you get to the point where in the moment of giving your speech, or in the moment of hosting, or in the moment of, let's say, facilitating, moderating, what have you, I hope you keep your eyes out for the spontaneous moments, right? I hope you can find opportunities to bend, to bend your plans. And as you practice more and more public speaking, you'll get used to it. And it might get a little boring and like a routine. So you're gonna find ways to excite yourself a little, spice yourself a little by, cracking a joke that you suddenly thought of, right? Or just, realize, or just noticing something from the audience and then not making fun of it. You don't make fun of the audience, but, just make a commentary of it, or just relate to them something that, not really a funny anecdote that just happened before you step on stage. So be open to these spontaneous moments. Don't get stuck with what you prepared. Don't take yourself seriously. This is a big topic. Okay, be vulnerable. Okay, here's what vulnerability is from one of my, favorite American authors and psychologists, social science researcher, Brene Brown. She's one of Oprah's best friends. Vulnerability is the core of shame and fear in our struggle for worthiness, but it appears that it's also the birthplace of joy, of creativity, of belonging, of love. What is vulnerability? It's admitting that seconds before you step on stage, or seconds before it's your turn in your Zoom meeting to give your report, you tell yourself the following: let me be vulnerable. I choose to be vulnerable. I admit that I'm scared, I'm terrified, I'm not the best at this, but I'm going to do it anyway. So that's vulnerability. So if you just let your guard down and acknowledge these negative feelings, I'm anxious, I'm scared, they're going to judge me. But you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. Because it says here, vulnerability is while it is connected to fear, right? The fear of public speaking, it is also the fountainhead, the source of creativity and of belonging and of love. So you cannot establish true connection with your audience. You cannot be creative with your public speaking if you don't choose to be vulnerable. And vulnerability, it's not winning or losing, it's having the courage to show up when you can control the outcome. I'm going to show up. You know what? Everyone who's now tuning in to us, you 1,000 gorgeous, wonderful people, the fact that you showed up to this live stream means that you have demonstrated your willingness to learn. And that is a big step already. That is a show of courage already. Let me read this by Theodore Roosevelt. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, or woman, okay, sorry for this Teddy Roosevelt sexist language, but anyway, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again. You make mistakes, right? In public speaking, those grammatical errors, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends herself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, who at the worst, if she fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that her place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. It is not the critic. It is not that mean member of the audience who's going to mock the prints on your shirt, or who's going to find you too skinny or too voluptuous, who's going to criticize the blue collar on your hair, who's going to find you too short, who is going to mock your subject verb agreement and your user prepositions, who is going to mock the fact that you took a pause between your fourth and fifth sentences, who's going to mock every single detail that he or she or they can fault find. But because you, despite your fears of public speaking, you decided to show up nonetheless. Oh yes, I feel terrified, but I am going to be here. I'm going to show up. Yes, I have the butterflies in the stomach, but let's do it. If you make that choice to be vulnerable, even at the risk of judgment, if you're going to do it anyway, then it's you who matter and not the critic. It is not the critic who counts. The one that matters is the one that decides to show up. So show up. Let's keep showing up. Expect to make mistakes. Allow yourself some margin of error. You're going to make these mistakes. I still do. Number 9, an interesting and very helpful. My proteges, my students find this very helpful. If you're going to give a little speech, okay, here's one pattern that you can, emulate or adopt. Okay, follow. Prep, point. Reason, example, point. Point, what's your point, right? Where do you stand? Okay, should there be a lockdown again or should there not? Should there be libraries, public libraries in every province or even municipality? What is your point? Is the use of glutathione ethical? Are the standards of beauty fixed? What is your point? Reason, why? Example, what the audience is going to look for is something concrete, something that they can see, taste, feel, smell, and touch. Give something that they can imagine. And then you're going to circle back to the point. So point, reason, example, point. Prep. Memorize that acronym. Mental outline, Tito Boy also told me this. It helps if you have an outline in your head. Of course, sure, as you know, some of you might be just starting out and might be struggling. So write them down, write an outline of what you're going to say. And the power of three is important because let's go back to this prep, okay? If we're talking about longer speeches, okay, give your point, what's your main stand, and then your reason can be either one or three. If it's a long speech, it's good if it's three, okay? And then every reason should have an example. So there is something magical and effective about the number three. Number seven, okay, sir, I think my problem is more serious than you think. Then if you feel like what you're dealing with is something serious, like social anxiety, then it's better if you seek professional help. Number six, dichotomy of control. Well, I just read to you the Teddy Roosevelt quote, and it says there that even if I'm going to be judged by the audience, I cannot control it anyway. So I am, if there's one philosophy that really excites me these days, I'm trying to practice it. It is the philosophy of Stoicism. Stoicism, Stoicism. It's a philosophy among the ancient Greeks and Romans, and one of these great Stoics is Epictetus. And he said, the chief task in life is simply this, to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals, not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control. Where then do I look for good and evil? Not to uncontrollable externals, but within myself to the choices that are my own. So tell yourself in your head, I can control the judgment of the audience anyway. I cannot control what they're going to say of me. What I have control over is my own words, my own speech. So this is the dichotomy of control. You should be able to distinguish the things that you can control and the things that you can't control. And for the things that you cannot control, if you can control them, why worry? If you can control what your audience is going to, how your audience is going to find your speech, then what's the point? You're just going to waste time wondering how are they going to think of me. So only focus on what you can do, which is try to make that speech as good as you can. Number five, we don't overcome fear because fear will always be there. What you need to do is to learn how to live with the fear, how to manage it. The fear will always be there. It's just a matter of managing it. And as one of Oprah's psychologists, Dr. Phil, says, life's not managed, it is not cured. So let me say, in the context of public speaking, the fear of public speaking is not managed, it is not cured, it is only managed. So you cannot cure fear because it's not going away. It's not going away anytime. You can only manage it by saying, okay, fear, I have a relationship with you, but I'm keeping a distance from you in times that I don't need you, like when I speak in front of the public. It's a bad habit, guys, if you say, I'm a bad speaker, I suck at public speaking. So be careful, guard your tongue again in your mind against these labels and your internal scripts. So from saying, I suck at public speaking, just say, yes, be vulnerable. I'm struggling with it, but I'm working with it and I'll be better. So shall we say this together right now, everybody? 1, 2, 3, go. Yes, I'm struggling with it, but I'm working with it and I'll be better. I'll be better. Top 3, public speaking is an act of giving. You are there and you're showing them what you've got. It is being generous. To think that it is not about, so if you're, why are you scared? Because you make it about you. But if you see it, if you start seeing it as an act of giving a part of yourself to an audience who, by the way, is going through the same struggles as you do. It's like we're all in this together. Let me give you what I've got. And if you don't like it, it's fine. I can control it. But if you like it and if it helps you, then that's good. I have blessed you. And don't think that this webinar is going to apply just to your Zoom meetings and to your speeches in the next 2 to 3 years. It is a lifelong commitment, a lifelong skill, a lifelong journey. And so the fact that you're starting to think of public speaking as a lifelong journey, act, process, makes you not hard on yourself. It is a journey, so I'm going to be patient and I'm going to allow myself to make some mistakes. And finally, you have to let go. Seconds before you step on that stage, you have to be able to tell yourself, I've done all the preparations I could. And therefore, it's just time to release. The outcome is something I don't have control over. It is something, therefore, that I shouldn't worry about. I am letting go. I am stepping on the stage. And this I would like to discuss without the slides because I want to have a one-on-one with you. Okay, my bonus piece of advice that I'd like you to leave with is the following. Okay, if there's one mantra that I keep telling myself whenever I feel the nerves of speaking in public, it's the following. It's not about me. It's about the message, not the messenger. Don't make this about you. And the magic that happens as a result is that you become less conscious of yourself, how you look, how you sound, those little grammatical blunders. The result is you get to focus on what truly matters, the message of which you are merely a vessel. That is the mantra that I keep telling myself. That whenever I feel the nerves, the butterflies in the stomach, I tell myself, why do I have this feeling? Because I make it about myself. And that should be fine. I mean, we are people with self-interests anyway. But that's just the political nature of us human beings. But it is a decision that you have to make when you get to ask yourself this ethical question. Therefore, public speaking is a matter of ethics. And the question is, whom am I doing this for? I speak on the Zoom meeting. I speak at the lectern in front of a huge crowd in an auditorium, in whatever setting. Whom am I doing this for? For myself or for other people who might benefit a little from the words that I'll be sharing? Hence, it's time to start thinking of your public speeches not as solo acts, but as social activities, social endeavors. Because when you communicate your message, you are only half of the equation. Remember that at the end of that line, there is an audience who wishes to learn a little more about the subject, who wishes to be a little encouraged by your inspiring words, and who wishes to be changed, transformed in the process. Henceforth, it is not about you, it is about the message and your audience. I wish all of you good luck. We cannot cover everything in the span of an hour, but I sincerely hope that you not only listen, I sincerely hope that you didn't just listen to what I've shared, my 2 cents of public speaking, but that you also would decide to reflect on these things. And if you need anything, you have the UPLB LRC to help you with. If you want to have, I hope we can continue. I hope we have a follow-up, right? Because we can cover all bases in the span of an hour. But my presence and the fact that something like this, a webinar about overcoming the fear of public speaking, should signal to each and every one of you, the audience of this webinar, that in your journey of trying to be better at public speaking, in your struggle to overcome that fear, you are not alone. You are not alone. Thank you very much and have a good afternoon.
All right. Thank you so much, Sir Linus. Grabe. Wow. It's been a very
Was it
interesting
okay?
afternoon.
Was it okay? I
Yes.
need my water.
Thank you so much. I've learned a lot from
Really,
your
Ma'am She? Come on, you're a master.
session.
You're a
Oh
master
my.
communicator. And you, by the way, you're so. I mean, of course, Ma'am She, for the knowledge of everybody, has worked in the media industry, so it's no surprising that the way she moderated this webinar has been excellent. So, thank you, Ma'am She. You also
Sir,
inspired us.
yeah, Sir Linus, thank you so much for all the inspiration, tips, and strategies on how to overcome the fear of public speaking, because our students will really need that, especially ngayong online learning that, there are no more audience like face-to-face communication, but they have to deal with the online platform and they have to be reminded of all those things that you said. So thank you so
Right.
much. I have so many takeaways from you from this
Wow.
session. Pero before that, how about you guys? What are your major takeaways on our first session of the GKPB mag-online learning webinar series? First session pa lang yan, ha?
Somebody said he has 20 takeaways.
He has, si Sir Chico, madaming takeaways. Okay, I guess if you have questions then, please leave them sa ating comment section. And our very generous speaker, ang ating si Sir Linus, he will be helping you out dun sa mga iba pang questions ninyo. Just please make sure that they are relevant to our topic. I guess merong isa from Aaron James. Ito, sir, medyo
Okay.
part ito nung parang diniscuss mo kanina. So sabi niya, the
Okay, Ma'am
question
She.
is, how to deal with audience or audiences that are mocking you while speaking?
Yeah, yeah. It's a good question. What's the name again, Ma'am She?
Aaron James.
Errol James. Hi, Errol James. Thank you for your question. How do you do it when you're mocking? Okay, I actually, Errol, I could relate to that because not a few years ago, I hosted a pageant in which I was mocked. Okay, by the parent of a candidate. So I could relate to that. And all you could do, Errol, is be civil about it. It's not like, because if you call them out and if you're rude to them, it's going to be backlash on you. Remember, Errol, this principle. In in a situation in which you are the speaker and they are the audience, you are the model of character. You're not only the model of public speaking performance, you're also a model of what the right thing to do is. And so if there, it depends on the specific situation. If they're mocking without making so much noise, Ma'am She, then you just you just let it be. Okay, just let it be. Just let the show go on. Okay, keep talking. Do your job. Your job is to not make away, a very mean basher in the audience. Your job is to get across your message to the audience as best as you can. That is your job. And if the bashers in the audience are making a lot of noise, it is not your job. It is the job of the events organizer to shut them up.
Thank you for that tips, Sir Linus. So I hope that
Yeah.
answers your question, Aaron James. And I guess it will be connected din dun sa sinabi mo, Sir Linus, na you don't have to be too self-conscious kasi talagang mawawala ka sa focus. So you have to focus on the message, sabi nga ni Sir
Yes,
Linus,
yes,
di ba?
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
And
deliver
yeah,
your speech.
yes, absolutely.
Okay, another question is from Joshua Carinal. How long should a speech be considering the attention span of listeners?
Yeah, Joshua is the name, no? Alam mo, Joshua, ang, excuse me, alam mo, Joshua, ang uso ngayon, may iksing speeches, actually. The attention span is getting shorter according to research. Actually, it's only around 8 to 11 minutes. So try to do 10 minutes, Joshua, and you'll be fine. 30 minutes, or the one I just did, I hope you got, although in a webinar, talagang the convention is to do it for an hour or even more, no? But for a speech, 10 is fine. Around 10 is fine. Yeah. And you know what? They'll appreciate that, Ma'am She. Kasi ako rin, if whenever I listen to a speech and it runs for just 10 minutes, at the end of the speech, I smile. Because
Mhm,
thank you for respecting my time.
mhm. All right, thank you once again. So I hope that answers your question,
I
Joshua.
hope so, yeah.
Yeah.
Specific naman yung nasabi ko, di ba, Joshua? Of course, but 10 is not a hard and fast rule, di ba? That's the caveat I want to give you, Joshua. But try to play with that number. Yeah.
Yan, meron din tayong comment from Jemima Manansala. She agrees with you, Sir Linus, that it's about the message and not the messenger. O, di
Right.
ba?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then another comment from Maria Claire Candia. She says, I can't say that I can now overcome my fear of public speaking this instant, but your tips are very much helpful, sir.
Oh, thank you. Wow. No, what's the name again, Cheryl?
Maria Claire.
Maria Claire, I appreciate your kind words. Um, we all know nothing good happens overnight, right? But I want to encourage you, Claire, to just keep doing and doing it. And there will be, di ba, Ma'am She, there will be moments when, as you strive for something as noble as public speaking, there will be times when you will get frustrated. And
Mhm.
Claire, that's normal. And I just said, di ba, Claire, na it's a lifelong journey. So parang, give yourself some break. Don't take it so seriously. Don't be hard on yourself. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna be judged. But, Kebs, di ba? Tuloy lang. Yeah, tuloy lang. And then you're gonna find yourself getting better and better and better. So, Claire, I'm so excited for your journey. I mean it.
Yes. You will soon be acing it. Wala nang
Yeah,
wala nang keme, wala nang kahit ano, pagka nasanay ka na. I
yeah.
remember nung unang time na nag-live kami sa newscast, Sir Linus,
Okay, ma'am.
kaya naalala ko yung sa self-conscious because you just have to let it go. Kasi parang
Yes,
napaka-overwhelming na live, nakatutok sa'yo yung camera and you know that a lot of people will be watching. But all you have to do is just let it go. So sobrang,
yes.
naalala ko lang dun sa talagang pinakahuli na message mo na,
Right.
yun yung major takeaway ko na
Yeah,
let it go. Kasi wala na
yeah,
eh. You have prepared
yeah,
already. Ipinractice mo na yung sasabihin mo. So just let it go and enjoy the
yeah.
performance. Kasi
Right.
nakakakaba talaga pagka talagang nandun ka na sa moment na yon. It's either you sink or you swim. So just enjoy it. So thank you so much for
Yes.
reminding us. Now we just
Thank
have
you,
to let
ma'am.
it go.
Sabi nga ni Elsa.
Let it go. All right, another is this a question from Edmark Versosa. Sabi niya, thank you for this wonderful talk. Aside from being conditioned before stepping up on stage, is it effective to make your speech interactive so that you can lessen your fright?
Oh, that's good. Well, if that's allowed, what's the name again, Ma'am She?
Edmark.
Edmark. Edmark, if that's allowed, why not? Just listening to your question makes me suspect that you're already figuring out your style. And that's good, Edmark, di ba? So as long as it is allowed, then why not, di ba? Actually, Edmark, my teaching style is similar to that. I just don't want to talk, one directionally. I just want to blah, 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 go on and on and on about the subject. I want to pose the questions to my students. And I'm proud of the fact that in my style of teaching, I get usually to ask every person in the class, and hence the interaction. Yeah, interaction is good. It's very good. Kaya nga, na-realize ko, Edmark, if you're talking about the context of speeches, parang interesting yon. While traditionally speeches are given, one directionally, but who knows, you can, go down the stage and, have an interaction with the audience. And that's been done before. Isn't that what stand-up comics like, Atike and Vice can do anyway? They've been practicing it and it works. So yeah, take some risk. I encourage you to do that.
Okay. Nice tips. I hope that answers your question, Edmark. And then we have another question from Michelle D. Responso. So Michelle says, what drill or activity you can advise for the students, specifically college, to be practiced in starting overcoming their fear of public speaking? So probably drills, yeah,
Yeah,
activities.
yeah. Okay. Ma'am or sir, no? I guess instructor po yung nagtatanong sa atin, educator, no? Maraming salamat po sa tanong. Wala po talagang shortcut as we know, pero it's good na yung drills mean na it's something that we can do regularly. So one drill po na maaari natin gawin ay at the beginning of the subject, we can do some fun exercise. Like one example, because the Philippines is fond of beauty pageants, then maaari po kayong pumasok sa classroom niyo. Well, this is Zoom. This is the era of Zoom though. But it can be applied to both settings naman. Pumasok po kayo na may aquarium, na may fishbowl, or anything, and then magpabunot kayo po. Either topic, one word, or a phrase, or a keyword, or a question, na bibigyan nyo lamang po ng ilang minuto ang inyong estudyante para mag-prepare. And then everyone gets their turn. It's going to be fun, actually. I mean, it can be terrifying, pero the fact that it is a game and the fact that the classmates are going to look forward to the answer of the other person means that we are making that process fun. Di ba, Ma'am She? So yun po isang drill. So parang Q&A in short po. Q&A siya. Pangalawa po ay yung binanggit ko kanina kay yung association game na tinuro po ni Tito Boy Abunda, word association game. So ang gagawin niyo po ay may dalawa pong tao, tapos si person A po ay magbibigay ng word kay person, find a partner. Magbibigay ng word ng person kay person B. So for example, jacket. Si person B po, bawal po siya mag-isip, ma'am or sir. Hindi po siya pwede mag-isip. Kailangan po yung unang word na papasok sa kanyang isip. Si person B naman po ay pag binato niya yung word niya kay person A, si person A kailangan mag-isip hanggang sa tuloy na po ang proseso. So that's a word association game. Bakit po ginagawa yan? Para po ma-enhance ang word association faculty or skills sa ating utak para po mas maganda po, mas sanay po tayo sa impromptu speeches. Kasi po, kapag may isang sa impromptu speeches po, kapag may isa po tayong sentence na sinabi, dahil po sanay tayo na nag-word association, mataas po ang chance na yung second sentence po ay meron tayong maiisip agad. So yun po. Meron pa pong isa, Ma'am Shea, sorry, one last. Word association din po, turo din po ni Tito Boy Abunda. So titingin po, so magdadala po kayo ng isang object. So ito po ay, ano ba to? Ito po ay alcohol. Lahat po ng naiisip nyong word doon sa object po ay sasabihin nyo maliban lang po sa kung ano siya. So lahat po sabihin mo sa kanya maliban lang sa kung ano siya, which is alcohol. At once na you can think of any word, so word association din po siya. So that's another thing that we can explore. Pero na-excite ako, Ma'am Shea, dun sa Q&A portion. I think that's something that the students can have fun with. Yeah.
Yes, parang ano lang, no? Parang Miss Universe.
Yes.
Parang contest lang. Pero masaya yon kasi pagka may gano'n na activity like word association, yung parang yung ang bilis mo bang mag-isip sa mga impromptu speech.
Yes. Ma'am Shea, in fact, Well, may nagre-request dito, no? Na-share ko daw ang aking experience sa Mr.
Yes,
Q&A. Kasi,
please.
grabe naman. Ay, ano ba yan? Sino ba kasi yung nag-request? Wow, yung director natin. Oo. Hindi kasi sumali po tayo sa Mr. Q&A sa Showtime 2019. I think it was 2019. And
Wow.
dahil hindi po masyadong ginagamit ang sariling wika sa kasamaang palad, talagang medyo kinarir po natin. Bumili pa ako, Ma'am She, ng dictionary, Tagalog-Tagalog, mga libro sa isang bookstore tungkol sa mga sawikain, mga kasabihan, okay? Para talaga ma-activate ang aking Pilipino. Okay, so I'm gonna make this short, I promise. Nung nasa Showtime studio na po ako, nasa dressing room na po kami nung umaga, okay? Talagang nakafocus lang talaga ako sa kung ano mga pwede kong sabihin. At ang mga ginagawa ko po ay binabato ko po yung sarili ko ng kung ano pong maisip ko na topic at right away sinasabi ko kung ano yung mga gusto kong sabihin. Ang goal ko po talaga pag step ko ng stage ng Showtime at tinanong sa akin ni Vice Ganda, ang question ay ayokong magbakel. Okay? Hindi ako pwedeng magkamali. Gusto ko tuloy-tuloy. At gusto ko mabalansi ko yung delivery at yung content, yung laman. Kasi pwedeng maganda nga yung delivery ko at pangit naman yung laman. Okay, since stage fright ang pinag-uusapan natin, fear of public speaking. Nung i-introduce na ako ni Vice Ganda at ni Ann Curtis, November 11, 2019, okay, around 12:30 p.m. So, ang instruction sa akin ng stage manager ay tumalikod doon sa di ba kita po natin yung LED screen sa Showtime na bumubukas. Okay, so nandun po ako sa likod at tumalikod daw po ako. Okay. Nagsisigawan na yung tao at parang meron kasi mga butas so may masisilip mo. Nakatayo na si Vice, nakapink siyang buhok, nandiyan na si Ann Curtis, ka-announce lang niya na buntis siya, tapos yung mga tao laging sumisigaw. And then I'm going to be put on national, in fact, international spotlight. But you know what? Nung tumalikod ako at it's so bright dahil ang daming light at sinabi ko, you know what? Nakakakaba pero this is the fight of my life. So I'm just going to do it anyway, Ma'am She. So that's what I mean by letting go. I am going to let go. I am going to let go. And the truth is, ang pinaka-technique na ginamit ko kung bakit sa tingin ko nasagot ko ng maayos yung tanong, I forgot what the question was. I think it was about love. I focus, really. I really focused. I didn't think of anything else but parang nire-ready ko yung utak ko doon sa question. I can't explain it in words, pero the key is focus. And having fun, yeah. Having fun. At saka alam mo yun, Ma'am She, nandun ka, meron yung timer nandun sa unahan.
Yes.
Talagang binubuhos mo na lahat ng ano mo lahat ng powers mo lahat ng mga gusto, lahat ng mga kaya mong sabihin, nagpakitang gilas ka. I mean, you would give it your all. And you know what, Ma'am She? Oh my God, I don't wanna umiyak daw sa webinar. No? You know what I realized, Ma'am She, thank you, Sir Chico, for asking the question. Pero I realized, Ma'am She, that moment, because I was proud of how I answered, that was the culmination of years of hard work, years of training myself to speak. I don't wanna cry because my cousins are gonna make fun of me. Sila yung bashers sa audience. And what I mean by culmination, that's the climax, no? That's like my recital, Ma'am She. That was the recital and I passed. Okay, to everybody, lalo doon sa mga nagtanong kay Claire, hindi ko pa po ma-overcome ang fear of public speaking ko, but may mga natutunan po ako, sir. Salamat. What I want to tell you is, Claire, hindi ko naabot yung moment na yun kung hindi ako nagporsige for more than a decade sa pag-train sa sarili ko kung paano magsalita, kung paano mag-practice. Claire, nung ako'y binuli ng aking mga batchmates sa rural dahil ang pronunciation ko ng tum ay tomba, kung that moment, Claire, nag-decide ako na mag-quit dahil napahiya ako at sinabi ko sa sarili ko na kahit kailan ay hindi na ako magsasalita dahil pinahiya ako ng mga classmates ko na galing private school dahil maling pronunciation ko. Sa tingin mo ba, Claire, maaabot ko yung moment in front of the national spotlight answering a question, a difficult question with, sorry, nagbubuhat ng sariling bangko, pero I think with intelligence and with grace and with powerful delivery? No, which means what you saw on Showtime, medyo deceptive yun eh. Kasi feeling niya, oy, ang galing niya magsalita, oy, nasagot niya ng maayos. Which was the feedback I saw on YouTube and Facebook and on Twitter. But guess what? That's just the fruit, the outcome of years of hard work. So Claire, and to the rest of you, it's hard work, it's practice, it's courage, and you'll get there. It's really possible. Sorry, I kept going on and on, Ma'am Cheryl, but I just really feel strongly about that. And someone would like me to say hi to him or her. Teka, hanapin nga natin.
Thank
Sino ba
you,
siya? Si Kim.
Linus.
Kim ba?
Yes.
Kim Bulda. Ayan, Kim Bulda. Alright. Hello, and thank you for watching.
We are deeply moved, no, dun sa iyong sinabi. Because, ang nakikita lang siguro natin sa ngayon, ay, ang galing-galing naman ni Sir Linus speech. But you didn't see yung talagang pinagdaanan, bago maging magaling ang isang tao. It's years and years of practice, of courage, overcoming fear over and over again, building yourself, training yourself, para maabot mo ito talagang, kung gusto mo talagang maging magaling na public speaker. So, thank you so much, Sir Linus. Sabi nga, di ba, one day at a time, one step at a time, you will get there if you really want it badly.
Yes.
Okay. We are overwhelmed with with so many questions
from
our audience.
Okay. Sige, ma-check na rin. Bakit sinek ko rin daw, no?
Just to follow up, Sir Linus, meron ditong question. Siguro masasagot na rin yung mga ibang questions, baka related din sa mga ibang questions na nilagay nila doon. Ang bilis na kasi. Ang nakalagay dito is, how do you overcome yung mental block and yung stuttering? Yan yung question niya. Ano ang pangalan ni ma'am? Let me just check the name. I forgot, pero ang dami nila nagtanong tungkol sa mental block tsaka stuttering. How do you overcome that?
Yeah, okay. Sige, doon muna tayo sa stuttering, Ma'am She, no? May dalawa kasing klase yan. May stuttering kasi, Ma'am She, na maaari na siyang i-consider na speech defect, okay, speech issue. In which case, ang solusyon po natin dito ay magpakonsulta sa isang speech therapy. Pero, so yun po yung isang medyo seryosohang kaso na po yan ng stuttering. Pero may stuttering naman po na nag-stutter o nabulol dahil lang po ay kinakabahan. Okay. Isang strategy po ay bagalan po natin ang ating pagsasalita. Ang stuttering po kasi ay physical manifestation lang po ng kung ano ang nangyayari sa isip. Di ba, Ma'am She? It's just a physical manifestation of something psychological. At yun po ay kinakabahan. Kaya parang, maano ka talaga eh, masa-stutter ka talaga. I sometimes stutter. But Joe Biden stutters and is now the President of the United States. Queen Elizabeth's father, the king, before, used to stutter, and he actually consulted, he was trained by a speech therapist, and he was finally able to deliver a speech about World War II, a speech for the British people. That's why I highly recommend you, everybody, to watch the Oscar-winning Best Picture film, The King's Speech, starring Colin Firth. You will be inspired na kung ang hari ng Britanya noon ay nabubulol at na-overcome niya, kaya niyo rin po. So, bagalan po ang pagsasalita. Ito po ay produkto lamang kung ano nangyayari dito. So, yung mga strategies ko po kanina na share, try to follow that po. At baka po mabawasan yung pag-stutter kahit papaano. Basta take your time, don't stutter, take your time. Kaso ano po ito, no? Ito pong stuttering ay hindi po ito overnight mababago, Ma'am She, di ba? This will be overcome over time. So I want you guys, to those who stutter, to be patient. Finally, mental block. Okay, if you mental block, I have mental block moments too. Okay, so one important tip. Kunyari may nagtanong, okay, nag-recitation, nagtanong si teacher, sulat agad, key ideas. Okay, sabi ko power of 3, kung may naisip agad na ideas, 1, 2, 3. Okay, hindi ka mental block, kung ikaw ay may notes, okay? I'm not saying you write complete sentences, just write keywords, okay? You won't have the mental block if that happens. Yeah. Kaso what if, I understand some of you might be saying, sir, paano pag nakatayo ka? Wala kang susulatin. Okay. If mental block ka, okay, take a deep breath. Kasi pag na-mental block ka, okay, nabasa ko to sa research. Kapag na-mental block ka, your brain will freak out. Okay? And what happens is itong prefrontal cortex, itong bahagi ng utak po natin na may kinalaman sa pag-iisip, nagsha-shutdown po. Kaya ang nangyayari po ay mas lalo pong hindi nakakapag-isip. Okay? So, kapag na mental block, ang isang technique po ay ibahin po ang usapan. Kung ano na lang po muna ang maisip, okay, ay sabihin. Medyo kahit hindi, kasi pag na mental block ka, baka nakalimutan mo na yung huli mong sinabi, pero just say anything na feeling mo may kinalaman pa rin sa topic. At dahil doon, magmumukha kang may sinasabi pa rin, continuous pa rin. So that's one technique, Ma'am She. Say something that's still within the topic. And that doesn't necessarily follow the logic of the previous. Or another option, Ma'am She, is, make fun out of it. Make fun out of it. Oops, I went blank. I don't know what to do. Parang if the audience laughs, you get relaxed too. And, that's the time when perhaps you can pick up something now to say.
Yeah. Kaninang may nagtanong din paano daw, how can you recover from that mistake na nagawa mo? So you just have to have fun nga, sabi ni Sir Linus, no? Nagkamali ka. So, bawi ulit, bounce back, parang gano'n. Thank you, Sir Linus.
Yes,
Maybe we have just one more question, Sir Linus, no, due to the limited time that we have. It's from Maria Angelica Basa. Sabi niya, hello, sir. I am a DevCom sophomore from CLSU. I have a question po. What motivates you to overcome your public speaking? Thank you po. I'm an introvert person before.
Okay, what motivates me to overcome the fear of public speaking? So what's my motivation? Sabi ko nga dun sa my last big lesson is I don't make it about me. I make it about the message. Iniisip ko, okay, kinakabahan kanina when I was taking a shower, I started feeling the nerves, Ma'am She. Okay, it's happening. Okay. Actually, may mga time na nagigising ako kagabi. Okay, so normal. Lahat tayo may ganyang pinagdadaanan. Hindi porket eloquent ako kanina. Doesn't mean I'm not going through what you're going through. No, we all go through the same, di ba? Struggle. So what do I tell myself? This is what I really tell myself. I'm being honest. Yeah, but this is not about me. This message is actually a responsibility, a burden. At kapag inisip ko siya bilang isang responsibilidad, Ma'am She, na burden, parang I get distracted from myself towards the thing that truly matters, which is the message, and the audience.
Yes, correct. Pag sobrang in your head ka, pag you're in your head, say, okay ba yung itsura ko, yung bibig ko ba ayos? You will really get lost. So, it has, i-shift mo yung focus. I agree with you, Sir Linus, talaga. You focus on the message. Si Kervin, sir, ihahabol ko lang, Sir Linus.
Sure.
Si Kervin Zachary Miguel Roldan. Hi, I'm Zach. May I ask your thoughts about people labeling themselves that they have social anxiety rather than confronting their own thoughts? I'm a psychology major, by the way.
Okay, that's a scare. Can you repeat the question, Ma'am She? There's a quite psychology major. Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe you can better answer his question than I can. Because, okay, sige.
So parang meron siyang social anxiety. People, may I ask your thoughts about people labeling themselves that they have social anxiety rather than confronting their own thoughts? So medyo siguro sobra yung fear nila. Instead of confronting their own thoughts, siguro they flight ba? Flight or fight, no?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's either you really have social anxiety or, when I say social anxiety, yung parang clinical, Ma'am She, no? In which case, you have to seek professional help. Kung hindi naman, kung ang problema lang talaga ay you're really having the nerves, you're really anxious in the sense na, are they gonna judge me? Are they gonna parang mock the way I wear my fashion? then once again, it's time to tell yourself na it is not about me. It is about the audience. What's the second? There's a second part of the question that I'd like to address it. Ma'am She, ano nga yun? What's the second part of the question? Aside from that person is a psychology major.
Yeah,
The confronting,
the
no?
confronting their own thoughts. Instead of confronting their own thoughts, they just say they have social anxiety.
Okay, you really have to confront your own thoughts. Socrates said, well, know thyself. So you really have to have self-awareness. You really have to confront yourself and be honest with yourself. Ano kaya? Okay, so ito, mga kaibigan, mga kapatid, tatanungin din, itong prosesong to ng pag-improve ng ating public speaking requires you to be honest with yourself. Bakit kaya ako merong fear ng public speaking? Ano kaya ang mga kinakatakutan ko? May nangyari ba sa aking past? May nangyari ba nung high school? May nangyari ba nung bata ako? You really have to go back eh. Sometimes, Ma'am Shed, to your childhood, to your school life, to your school days, something must have happened. And by going back and confronting your own fears and the sources of those fears, only by having that self-awareness can you really have uh, the capacity to manage your fears. Kasi hindi pwedeng, hindi mo alam kung saan nanggagaling yung fears. You're clueless. That's gonna be difficult, Ma'am She. Parang, where are these fears coming from? At least, di ba? Hindi ba sinabi ko sa umpisa ng lecture na bilang mga tao, alam natin from the perspective of evolutionary biology, alam natin na itong fear na ito ay nanggaling pa from our earliest ancestors. So, ang fear na ito ay normal. Kaso lang, ang fear na ito ay umo-A. Kahit sa public speaking ay nag-apply. Hindi ka naman matitigok sa public speaking, di ba, Ma'am She? So, yun.
All right. There you have it, guys. Professor Linus Van Plata. Thank you so much, Sir Linus, for all of those wonderful things that you said
Thank you guys for
for
listening.
this session. All right. So now, hashtag Team LRC would like to take this opportunity to thank our speaker for his valuable time. So to award the certificate of appreciation, may I kindly recognize once again, our beloved director, Dr. Benjamina Paula G. Flor. Allow me to just read the citation quickly. University of the Philippines Los Baños Learning Resource Center present the Certificate of Appreciation to Linus Van O. Plata for serving as resource speaker in the first session on Speak Up, How to Overcome the Fear of Public Speaking. In the GKPB Mag-Online Learning, a webinar series on how to take online learning to the next level, held today, 22 March 2021, given this 22nd day of March 2021 at the Learning Resource Center, UPLB College, Laguna, signed by our director, Benjamina Paula G. Flor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sir Linus.
Thank you, Ma'am Benj.
Tama talaga si Teacher Dan din, ano, Sir Linus?
Yes, Ma'am.
Elsa? Let go. Let go.
Yeah,
Mga fear natin, ang ating mga butterflies, sa ating mga stomach. Parang ngayon ko lang din na-realize na talaga palang it's not the speaker, but the message. Kasi lagi naman talaga lahat tayo, we're all so anxious when we go upstage, and we always think of what people will say about what you wear, your makeup, your kilay, shoes, di ba? So parang yun yung iniisip natin, so parang, ay, okay ba? Naplansya ba yung tabi ko? Pero in reality, it's really the message that we want to deliver. And it always happens na, yun nga, sabi nyo kayo na, nagkaka-mental block. Hindi talaga may iwasan yun eh. Kaya minsan, yun, pag memorize din kasi yung speech, lalo na sa high school, di ba, minimemorya natin yan. Pag minimemorya natin at we lose one line, wala na. Kaya dapat magaling ka mag-adlib. Alam mo yung sasabihin mo. You're not just memorizing it for the sake of the competition, but because you also realize what you are going into. So parang nandun yung hindi lang sinabi ni teacher na gagawin natin ito, but because I also know the message that I am going to impart. And it's very good that Prof. Linus here has enlightened us on what needs to be done. to conquer our fears. Si fear nga daw ay talagang nandyan. It's just a matter of letting it go.
Yeah.
Kaya, Elsa, thank you. Thank you so much, Sir Linus. So,
Thank you, Ma'am Benj.
ulitin.
Sure, Ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ma'am Benj. And once again, thank you, Sir Linus. Now, guys, for the evaluation of this session, please do not forget to answer the evaluation form after this webinar to receive your e-certificate of participation. Again, your comments and suggestions will be deeply appreciated or will be deeply appreciated by our team, hashtag Team LRC. The evaluation link will be sent only to those who successfully registered for the event. Kindly be reminded that the link will be open or up until 7 p.m. today. Or, dahil level up na nga, scan the QR code na nakikita sa inyong screen and you will be directed to the evaluation link right away. But we hope that more than the certificates, you really gained inspirations and valuable insights from our speaker this afternoon. At this point, we would like to recognize our team and thank our team, hashtag Team LRC, and GKPB Mag-Online Learning Team headed by our director, Ma'am Benji Flor, with the support of our Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, Dr. Jean Loyola. On our technical side is our University Research Associate, Joshua Michael G. Jonas, and our Webinar Production Online Director, Direct Prof. Mark Lester M. Chico. A big shout out as well to Team LRC's two other members, Tita Allen and Kuya Iwok. Muli, hindi man po sila nakikita sa ating Zoom space. Kasama po namin sila sa lahat ng aming mga programa. And again, a big thank you to Sir Linus, to our very passionate speaker for this afternoon. To end, let me share with you my humble reflections about our session today. Just like what Sir Linus said and Ma'am Bench said, fear is always there. It's just natural to feel fear, but being crippled by fear is not. So what we should do is to acknowledge it and manage it, because living in fear is not living at all. You are the only limit to yourself. That's why the title of our webinar series is Jika pa ba? Would you choose to move forward or would you choose to be defeated by our circumstances? It's all up to us. Sabi nga, di ba, sa aking favorite movie na Three Idiots, sabi ni Rancho, whenever your heart is troubled and scared, keep telling your heart, all is well. All is well. It doesn't solve the problem, but you will gain the courage to face all of your problems. So together, let's keep on going, keep learning, and keep growing. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. Stay positive, stay happy, stay healthy. We'll see you on the next one. God bless us all, and bye.
Bye!